Okay, I'm back. Looks like you're back too. Before we get started, I'm going to give you a close-up view of this boiler maker before we get going. If you notice, there's a little red light flashing near the upper left corner of that label. That's the pulse width modulator in there. It's set to 10%, so every time you see that pulse, we're sending juice to the boiler heating element, because I'm preheating it to 150 degrees to make things go a little smoother. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you probably noticed that I used a Still Spirits pressure regulator. I don't use that anymore. This is the same pump that's inside of one, though. It's a 12-volt solar water heater pump, believe it or not. And it's connected to the output of a 10-gallon Coleman cooler. I now recycle my water rather than dumping it down the drain. I just shuffle gel ice packs through that thing, and 10 gallons is more than enough. As you can see, those water lines come up to the controller. They come in here. That's the water line in. It goes to a T. It splits off to both valves. The output's there. The lines come back out. And they curl around and connect to the condenser and deflegmator. So that's my plumbing in a nutshell. I just figured I would show this before we get started with the run, just so you can see how I have my plumbing set up. Everybody's mileage varies, but that's how I do things now. So let me get this cooler moved to a new location and filled up with water, and I'll be right back. Okay, the camera's turned back around. Yep, wardrobe change. I got sidetracked. Didn't get to do the run exactly the next, or after that video ended. Oh yeah, wardrobe change. I think this would probably totally piss off that guy that I used to work for. Ugly isn't a new gender, get a shrink, and proud straight white male. I hope he watches this shit. Anywho, hey, before we start anything on here, I always reboot the whole system. Now, even though there are reboot buttons in there to reboot the Smart Still controller and the boiler maker, you name it, you know what's a lot easier? I have a power cord over here. I just unplug it for a second and plug it back in. That reboots everything, no question about it. And the reason you do that is because computers absolutely cannot be trusted. Whether it's a big computer or a little itty bitty chip like that, no, you can't trust them. So I always reboot the entire thing before you can even do anything with your Smart Still controller. It's best to calibrate your valves, the cooling valves in there, because anything can change. The little gears inside there could get gummy since the last time that you ran it. So it's always best to calibrate the valves. You know what? I should probably just do this from my iPad. I'll show you how we can calibrate the valves from here. I'm going to open the door on that so maybe you can hear them running, if my microphone will pick it up. But the very first step is I want to go in here to my relays, and I want to turn on the one for my pump that runs the cooling water. My little cooler is back here full of water right now.
Activating auxiliary relay number 1.
Okay, so after that pump is running, you always want to calibrate your valves with water pressure against them. That's the way they're going to be operating when you're doing a live run, so you might as well calibrate them the same way with actual pressure against them. So,
calibrating condenser valve.
What this is doing is opening the valve, from full close to full open and timing it, and then running it back the other way and timing it. And then it does an average, and it'll tell you what it is.
Condenser valve reported 9,957 total pulses. Each 1% movement equals 100 pulses. Calibrating deflect maker valve.
So when it says 100 pulses, what it means is 100 milliseconds. So if we want to move the valve 1% in any direction, we would just apply the power for 100 milliseconds forward or backward.
Deflect maker valve reported 10,405 total pulses. Each 1% movement equals 104 pulses.
All right, so that's done. We already know that everything else is calibrated. So we're going to start the run here. Start run, start distillation run. Maybe.
Starting a new distillation run using a program named Maximum Reflux. Decreasing condenser cooling valve position.
It's already closed.
Decreasing deflect maker cooling valve position.
It's already closed.
Boilermaker starting up in constant temperature mode.
All right. So after my preheating routine, I turned it off. It's at 146 degrees Fahrenheit. The boiler needs to reach, 185 degrees Fahrenheit for this program. So I'll have to pause the video and we'll come back. But that's the way you get a run started. You have to reboot it and then calibrate your valves, then start your run. After the thing's up to temperature, it'll talk to me and say, hey, it's up to temperature now. It's waiting for the deflegmator to reach its minimum operating temperature, which is 149 degrees Fahrenheit. That'll take a while because you got to get vapor up through the column. So cut this off right here and I'll be back in just a few seconds. Okay, just my luck. After I started that other run, I get a text message from somebody saying, hey, Larry, you should cover the boiler temperature management as as the thing warms up. Oh, okay. So I'll stop it and restart it again. Anyway, for every program, everything has a minimum and maximum temperature setting. So like here, the boiler temperature range is 83 Celsius or 181.4 Fahrenheit to 90 Celsius or 194 Fahrenheit. When I started the run, you remember it saying that it's starting the Boilermaker in constant temperature mode. Well, over here, we have the Boilermaker web interface. And you can see that the 83 on the previous tab for the for the Smart Still controller interface, it said 83 minimum. Well, that's what we set it to here. It just does it automatically. The Smart Still controller just tells the Boilermaker to jump into constant temperature mode, set it to that temperature, and it starts at 90% power and it'll work its way up until it reaches 100%. Once it reaches that 83 C or 181.4 Fahrenheit, it does a fallback. And that's what this little setting is here, where it says fallback power. So it starts at 90%, works up to 100%. When it reaches temperature, it'll fall back to 70%. And it rests for 30 seconds. That's what this rest period is here. After that rest period, every 30 seconds, it will check the temperature of the boiler to determine what needs to be adjusted as far as the power goes. Does it need to go up, go down, whatever? So that's how the Boilermaker controls the boiler when used with the Smart Still controller. It takes the load off of the Smart Still controller and does its own temperature management. Now, if we go back over here, go to the Boilermaker settings or the configure heating, I don't use a fixed temperature. I use, I have that set to no. So what that means is that the temperature range, that 83C to 90C, it will progressively increase the temperature over the course of 4 hours. So as the run progresses, the temperature will intentionally go up, just like it does with an SCR controller running at constant power. I'm not really doing the same thing as an SCR. controller, but I'm imitating that effect that an SCR controller has, where it progressively increases the temperature, and it does that so it helps push the ethanol out of the wash as the distillation run progresses. If you're using the default method in here, which uses a stepper motor, it pretty much works the same way. It cranks your SCR or gas valve up to 100%, and when it reaches that minimum temperature, it'll do a fallback to whatever setting that you have it set to fall back to, and then it will just manage the temperature dynamically. So it doesn't intentionally increase the temperature, but that's just the nature of an SCR controller or an open flame. The temperature will go up, so you have to adjust it down as time progresses. And this, as long as you're between 83 C, 181.4 Fahrenheit, and 90 C or 194 Fahrenheit, the Smart Still controller will say all is well. So I think that pretty much covers it for the temperature management. I can cover this in depth in another video later on, but just figured I'd throw that in there since somebody asked me to do that. My God, hopefully I won't get interrupted again. Still waiting for that minimum temperature to hit. We're at 171.3 right now, or 77.4 C. Back in a few.
Boiler has reached minimum operating temperature and is now managed by the Boilermaker, setting the cooling valves to their starting positions according to the current program.
So now it's a matter of waiting for the deflegmator discharge water to reach 65 C or 149 Fahrenheit. And on this program,
sending the command to remove the hydrometer.
There we go. On this program, it will manage the deflegmator cooling water valve to maintain a target temperature between 65 C, 149 F, and 70 C, 158 F. So, time to do a little bit more waiting. Be back in a few. And just my luck, I missed it. I didn't have the camera on when the thing finally reached operating temperature. But yeah, the deflegmator is up to operating temperature, and we can get a focus on this. I don't know if I can with this camera. But as you can see, it's putting out. And it's reading, let's say, 92%, 184 proof right now, because we're in maximum reflux mode. So I missed all of the all of the fireworks. You didn't get to hear it announce that it has reached minimum operating temperature. But it's operating, and let's see. That's my cooler. I got the ice packs in it. And we're just gonna let it go. I'm not gonna record the whole run, but at least now you can see that it does work. The flow rate on the hydrometer says that it's 85%, 84. So when it's on a reflux run, the flow is a lot lower because you don't have a bunch of water coming out. So that's why that's lower. But at any rate, Houston, we have liftoff. So that's going to be it for this video. I wish I could do more, but I mean, gosh, what am I going to do? Sit here and record a bunch of jars filling up? So when that one jar that it's filling right now, when it gets filled to about maybe an inch from the top, it'll automatically rotate the jars. Or I guess I could do it manually, just for grins and giggles. That one's off center. Let me fix that. Yeah, it drips between jars. Haven't figured out a way to shut off the parrot when it switches, but maybe someday. But that's that. I hope I've satisfied the request. People wanted to see the thing working in a full walkthrough of the system, so there you go. I finally did it. Now back to my regularly scheduled program, things that I need to get done. Bye.